So hello everyone. Let us begin today's webinar, and a very warm welcome to all of you. My name is Pooja. I am the Sales and Account Manager with Varuna Sentinels BV, and I am very thrilled to be your host for the day. Today we will be and welcome everyone to the webinar, that is IHM maintenance from compliance to PSC readiness. Today, we are going to talk about something very practical, that is the IHM maintenance. Not just theory, not just regulations, but how IHM works in real ship operations. We will explain what inspectors really check, where ships usually face problems, and how ongoing IHM helps to avoid stress. We will hear directly from our hazmat experts and flag state representatives who deal with this every day. Now, before I start the webinar, I would like to go through a few quick points here. The webinar will run for an hour, and the last 15 minutes will be for question and answer. You can type in your questions in the Q&A control given in the Zoom. The webinar will be recorded, and recording will be shared after the webinar with you. Also for Q&A, as I previously mentioned, feel free to use the Q&A function. Then during the webinar, we'll be conducting polls to gather your opinion. Now, I would like to give you a brief introduction of our panelists who would be joining today. First is Ms. Simone Shephers. She is a flag state representative with the Liberian Registry. Next, we have Mr. Arvind Kumar, Hazmat and IHM expert, Varuna Sentinels BV. Next, we have Mr. Pushparaj T, Hazmat and IHM expert from Varuna Sentinels BV. And I am Pooja Iyer. I am also happy to join you as the panelist for today. So now currently we will have a poll. So before we start the webinar, we will have the poll. Now currently the poll questions will appear on your screen, and you will get around 10 to 15 seconds to vote for that. Oh, great. I am seeing more. Is your fleet currently compliant with the IHM Part 1? Oh, I see a lot of yes. And yeah, a few of in progress and some are not sure. Oh, great, great. But I see a lot of yes, so that's great. So now going ahead, now I'll further introduce you and give you a brief about our first panelist, that is Miss Simone. So, Ms. Simone Shepherd brings over 15 years of experience with the Liberian Registry, primarily within the operations department. During this time, she has been responsible for overseeing a wide range of technical and operational matters for the flag. Her extensive experience gives her deep insight into regulatory compliance, flag state requirements, and the practical challenges faced by ship owners and operators. We are truly honored to have her with us today, and we look forward to the valuable insights she will share. Over to you, Ms. Simone.
Yeah. Thanks, Pooja, and good morning to everybody. I'm very much looking forward to give you some insight into how is the IHM working from the perspective of a flag state side, and yeah, what are the challenges we are facing during the time, and yeah, how's the progress going on in implementing IHM within a flag state. So I'm working, as Pooja already said, I'm working for the Liberian Registry for quite some time now, and dealing with operational tasks on a day-to-day basis. And it's mainly, or for a large part, it is actually dealing with all matters IHM related during the course of a day. So I hope I will be able to give you some answers to your questions. And yeah, first of all, let me start with a small introduction for those who are not so familiar with the Liberian registry. So we are in the shipping industry for 75 years now, actually being the fastest growing flag state at the moment. We have 17% of the world's market share right now, whitelisted with all MOUs, with all relevant MOUs in the world. And we are very actively working on technology and service improvements throughout all our departments. So we are always trying to be on top of things and to be advanced in all new technology and everything that is coming up. As I said, we have 17% of the world fleet currently, which is actually more than 6,000 vessels all in all. We're ISO certified, and as you can see on the slide here, we are ahead of Panama and Marshall Islands. We overtook them some time ago. We are very proud of that. So we are currently the biggest flag state in the world. For today, I will, in my first part of my presentation, I will give you a short overview on the requirements of the Hong Kong Convention and EU ship recycling from the perspective of a non-EU flag state. The second part will be specifically on our just recently published Marine Notice SAF 018, which is on the management of asbestos and PFOS. And the third part will be regarding surveys under the Hong Kong Convention, as we as a flag state are doing the surveys ourselves, which is not too common. And so there might be some issues or questions arising on why and how this is conducted. So as a general part, as I said, in 2023, Liberia ratified the Hong Kong Convention, which made it to come entry into force on the 26th of June last year. From that point, every vessel under Liberian flag needs to have an international certificate on IHM. And for vessels who are calling EU ports, they need to get an IHM, they need to get a statement of compliance for EU as well. So there's a difference between those two items because for the international certificate, we as a flag state are of course, able to issue the certificate ourselves. For the EU, we are, as Liberia, not an EU country, so we can only issue a statement of compliance. Being able to tell everybody that the vessel is compliant, but we are not allowed to issue a full certificate for that. We did that formally. We tried to incorporate the EU part into our full certificate by putting a sentence underneath. So one or the other might have experienced that one in order to just save client the hassle of having two different pieces of paper. But we find out that the port state in Europe does not accept this handling of the certificate. They want to see the separate two pieces of paper, like the international certificate on IHM for the Hong Kong Convention and for the EU SRR. They want to see a separate statement of compliance. That's why from middle of last year, we started to issue two separate things. Some vessels are still having the old version, which is still accepted, still okay to keep it as it is. But once it needs to be renewed, you will receive two separate documents for that, as port state does not longer accept to have it in one certificate. I can show you the two different pieces. As you can see, they do look quite similar on the first glance. On the left side, this is the international certificate. Underneath the Liberian logo, you can see it. On the right side, the one is a statement of compliance, which is basically the same, or the entries are basically the same. However, it needs to be, as I said, it needs to be separate as it is issued under a separate regulation, and this needs to be split in two. There's no separate survey or inspection done for that certificate. There's no separate items needed to be done for that. So we will just issue it alongside. If the client says, okay, we need the one for the EU as well, it will be automatically issued together with the international certificate. So there will not be an extra work or an extra survey for that. Some clients, where they are sure that the vessel will never call European waters, they just keep it to the one international certificate. So they say, okay, we don't need the statement of compliance. But as you know, schedules might change very quickly, and from one day to the other, suddenly the vessel might face going to the Europe quite suddenly. So from our perspective, it really makes sense just to keep both documents up to date and keep them with the same expiry date, keep them with the same issuance dates, have them alongside, so you are ready whenever the vessel calls any port in Europe. As I said, the second part will be on our marine notice. I put a link in the presentation, so afterwards, when you get the copy of the webinar, you can directly click on that link. This is issued quite recently and gives an overview on the current status of management of asbestos and PFOS on board. I listed the references, which are interesting to read through if you have some time to spare, but nothing you will need on a daily basis. Yeah, so as a first overview, this marine notice gives you most of all an introduction on how to deal with asbestos on board and the use and storage of the extinguishing media containing PFOS. We experienced during our daily work that there are still a lot of questions regarding the removal and the handling of asbestos on board. So usually the normal way would be that from the moment the asbestos is detected during a survey, there are 3 years time period when it can be removed. During that time period, you need to get an exemption for the vessels under Liberian flag issued from our side. And you also need to have a maintenance manual readily available on board and known to everybody who is in contact with that. However, we find out that unfortunately, a lot of clients are still not aware on how to deal with that, on how to treat the asbestos on board. They do not know that an exemption is needed. They do not know that a maintenance manual is needed. They have the initial survey. They have the first setup of the IHM Part 1. And from that moment on, they tend to forget about it and not deal with it. So when the renewals are coming up, which is now the case, they are popping in more and more, we very much often find out that they did remove the asbestos, for example, but they did not inform us about it. The exemptions are expired, or they did not remove the asbestos, did not ask for a further exemption, or many more cases. So that's why I quite enjoy the opportunity to be a speaker here today, to make people aware that there is still a lot of work to do to make vessels compliant with everything regarding the IHM. What we find out a lot is that either for the people who have removed the asbestos on board, they did not inform us about it. So we are still under the impression that the asbestos is still on board, while the vessel is in compliance already, but we don't know about it, which is, of course, unfortunate. Or they did not manage to remove the asbestos within this 3 years time frame, which is okay, that can happen. but we need to know about it because we need to renew the extension for a further year. And the vessel will be required to have an air quality test before giving the extension. To make sure that the crew is safe on board, that there are no asbestos fibers in the air, so that we can make sure that it's safe for them to continue sailing in the current condition with having asbestos on board. There are 3 time periods for the asbestos management in the regulations and especially in our marine notice. The vessels built before 1st of July 2002, they are allowed to have asbestos on board. Of course, only if there is no health risk and no asbestos fibers in the air. So that needs to be recorded in the IHM Part 1. And if asbestos is still present on board, a maintenance and monitoring program has to be developed for the vessel and also needs to be provided to us, to the flag state. For ships built between the 1st of July 2002 and before 1st of January 2011, they may keep some asbestos on board in case it is contained in the gaskets on board. This is the only piece of item equipment on board we are allowing to continue the vessel sailing with. So if the asbestos is detected in the gaskets only on board, they may keep it until a planned maintenance or complete removal of the whole system where the gaskets are involved is carried out. But this, of course, needs to be recorded in the maintenance and monitoring program as well. And the crew, of course, needs to be aware of it. And for vessels after the 1st of January 2011, there is no installation with asbestos acceptable on board any longer. As I said, 3 years after the detection, that needs to be removed. During that period, again, the maintenance and monitoring program needs to be on board. This has to be approved from our side beforehand. And once it is approved and acceptable to us, we can issue the exemption for those 3 years. If it is foreseeable that you can't remove within those 3 years, then please inform us early enough about it, not coming on the last day, because then it will create hassle and will be complicated for all persons involved. So we can, as I said, we can extend, but we would really be glad if we don't receive it just 1 day before the expiry date, but early enough so we can check on the air quality test, we can check everything else is in order, and then we can very calmly and safely issue another exemption for another year. Sorry. So as I said, the second part in our marine notice is the management of PFOS on board. From 1st of January this year, 2026, the use or storage of fire extinguishing media containing PFOS is prohibited. So all vessels shall comply with the regulations not later than the date of the first survey, which may be all surveys in question, like annual surveys, intermediate surveys, or renewal surveys. The very first one that comes up is the date where it needs to be removed. The replacement of the PFOS containing media needs to be in accordance with the IMO guidelines that I think will be clear. And an approval certificate is also needed to make sure that there are no PFOS contained in the fire extinguishing media. Coming to the last part of the presentation, as I said before, from 1st of April 2024, the Liberian administration has decided to conduct all surveys under the Hong Kong Convention by ourselves. So, meaning that all surveys, initial survey, renewal, additional or final surveys, will be done by our inspectors. To save the crew some hassle and some burden, we of course try to combine it whenever possible with any safety inspection done by our inspectors or with any audits coming up. Some client, they have their ISM, ISPS, MLC audits done with us as well. So of course we try to not have it as a standalone survey, the IHM, but to combine it with other surveys so it will be cheaper and more easy for all people involved. For new buildings, there's a difference because for the very first inspection on board, this will still be done by class. So the class during the new building phase, before delivery of the vessel, the class will issue the short-term IHM certificate for 3 months only. And they, or the client, will forward it to us for issuance of the final long-term certificate, which is valid for 5 years. So they will provide us with a survey report, they provide us with a short-term certificate and with the IHM Part 1. And based on that, there's no survey, another survey needed for that. But for the new building, we can then issue the full-term certificate. The good thing with doing it by ourselves for the Liberian administration is that we have a network of more than 550 auditors and inspectors worldwide. You can see it on the map in almost all ports over wherever those small blue dots are, there's an inspector available. So there's with minimum travel costs and very short time period, there should always be somebody available for you and your vessels to conduct the IHM survey. The red dots, the larger ones, are our regional offices. So as you can see in all major areas of the world, we also have a regional office available. So we can always assist the client. We are in the same time zone. So whenever there are questions during an IHM inspection or during a port state, when they have questions on the IHM, there's always a regional office available in the same time zone who can then quickly answer the questions and deal also directly with the port state representatives and clarify items, in most of the cases, very quickly on a short notice. Yeah. That's it from my side. I hope that was helpful. And with regards to the question and answers, Pooja already said, we will do that at the end. And so I will hand back to Pooja. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your very valuable insights, Ms. Shepper. Now, going ahead, I would like to mention a bit about Varuna Sentinels. So, Varuna Sentinels is an IHM maintenance service provider. We do not just prepare an IHM, we also help to maintain it. We support the ship owners as well as technical managers throughout the vessel's operational life. Ships change all the time, spares are replaced, equipment is added, and repairs also do happen. Our role is to make sure these changes are reflected correctly in the IHM. We combine hazmat experts with digital tools so compliance becomes simple and relatable. Now, next, I would like to have another poll with the audience. So now you can see the IHMM poll on your screen. So since entry into force of the Hong Kong Convention, have you noticed increased scrutiny on the IHM during the PSC? Okay, so more it looks like yes, slightly. Okay, now I see the more responses that people are seeing slightly. Oh, some have voted for yes significantly, and some are also mentioning that there is no change as well. Yeah, however, maximum responses have come for yes slightly. So it seems that our audience are seeing more scrutiny with respect to the IHM PSC inspections. So now moving further, I would like to introduce our second panelist, that is Mr. Arvind Kumar. Mr. Arvind Kumar brings over more than 5 years of dedicated experience in hazardous material management and inventory of hazardous materials compliance. He works very closely with shipowners, classification societies, and inspectors to ensure that vessel meets regulatory requirements effectively as well as practically. Through his hands on involvement, he has gained strong insight into what truly happens during the post state control inspections and the common compliance challenges vessels face. We are delighted to have him share his expertise with us today. Mr. Arvind, over to you.
So thank you everyone, and thank you Pooja, and good day to everyone. So here today's agenda is simple and practical. So first we will understand what IHM really is. Then we will look at the regulations from an inspection point of view, and then we will explain how PSC officers check IHM. Then we will cover about asbestos and PFOS, which are very common inspections topics. Then finally, we will explain why IHM maintenance is critical for ship owners. So let us start with the basics. What is IHM? So what is IHM? So in a simple term, IHM is a detailed list of hazardous materials on board a ship. So it shows what hazardous material is presented, where it is exactly located, and what quantity it is. So many people think IHM is required only when a ship is recycled. So but that is not correct. So IHM is required during the entire operational life of the ship. So inspectors use IHM to judge how well a ship is managed. So now let us see how IHM is structured. This slide is very important. I will take a little more time here. So IHM is divided into three parts, and each part has a different purpose. So let me explain this in very simple way. So part one is the most important part for ship owners and for inspections. So the part one covers hazardous materials that are part of the ship itself. So this includes materials in the ship structure, equipment, machineries, insulations, and cables, then coatings and systems. So examples like lead, mercury, and also materials like PFOS and firefighting systems. Now the key point is this: part one must be maintained continuously. So like every time something changes on board, like spare parts are changed or spare parts are replaced, equipment is changed, repairs are done, or modifications are carried out, the part one must be reviewed and updated if required. So this is exactly what inspectors look at. So now coming to part two and part three, these parts deal with operational waste and stores like oil, sludge, consumables, and remaining stores. So part two and part three are not required during normal ship operations. So they are prepared only when the ship is going for recycling. So during PSC inspections, officers do not focus on part two and part three. So from a practical inspection point of view, almost all non-compliance are related to part one. So in many cases, the ship has an approved IHM, but part one is not updated after changes on board. So this is where ships faces problem. And this is why we always say IHM is not one-time document. So IHM maintenance, especially part one, is critical throughout the ship life. With this understanding, let us move to why IHM is so important for ship owners. So now, let me explain the slides in very clear. On the slides, you can see two things. So on one side, the Hong Kong Convention. On the other side, the EU regulations. So what this tells us is very clear. IHM is not coming in the future. So IHM is already here. For ship owners and managers, IHM important for three simple reasons. First, compliance and smooth trading. So if your vessels call an EU port, IHM will be checked during port state control. So if IHM is missing or not properly maintained, it can lead to questions, delays, or deficiencies. So yeah, good IHM helps your vessels trade without interruptions. So and then the second one, safety without extra pressure on the crew. So most problem with hazardous materials happens during repairs, modifications, or dry dock. So a well-maintained IHM quietly guides everyone. It shows where materials are, where to be careful, and when specialist support is needed. So when IHM is managed properly, safety issues are avoided before they start. And the third point, peace of mind. So this is what ship owners really value. So when IHM is under control, the crew is very confident and the superintendent is prepared, and the inspections becomes routine, not stressful. So the IHM is not about the paperwork. So it is about control, confident, and continuity. And this is why many ship owners choose to work with specialist IHM partners. So compliance is handled in the background. So while this focus on operating the ship safely and effectively. Now let us move to IHM regulations. Now let us look at this timeline. So this slide explains why IHM not optional anymore. So I will keep this very simple. The Hong Kong Convention was adopted in 2009. So this is when the industry first agreed that ship must clearly know what hazardous materials they carry. After that, the EU introduced its own regulations in 2013. So this made IHM a practical enforceable requirement, not just a future recycling topics. So over the year, the scopes become wider. So it's removed from only new ships to EU flagged ship, and now to any ships that are calling to EU port. So this is the key point for ship owners today. So it does not matter where the ship is flagged. If it is straight to Europe, IHM must be placed and maintained. So you can also see the enforcement has increased step by step. Authorities did not introduce everything over the night. So they gave the industry time, but now expectations are very clear. Today, regulators are not no longer asking, "Do you have an IHM?" So they are asking, "If is your IHM accurate, updated, and under control?" And this is exactly why IHM maintenance has become so important, not for recycling in the future, but for daily operation and inspections today. So now that we understand why IHM is important and how regulations have evolved, let us see how this is actually checked on board during port state inspections. Now this slide looks little heavy for you all. So let me make it very simple and practical for ship owners and ship managers and who are all joined here. So when a ship enters the port state control officers mainly wants to answer one question: is this ship under control or not? So from an IHM point of view, the inspections normally starts very simple. The inspectors first check, do you have a valid inventory certificate or statement of complaints issued by a flag or an authorized body. In many cases, if this is documented, this document is valid and up to date, the IHM checks ends here itself right away. So, but inspectors also use professional judgment. So they observe, is the IHM is maintained or not? Does it is matched with the ship? Does the crew knows who maintained it? So now, when inspectors find these problems, the slide shows two types of non-compliance. The first one is non-detainable issues. So these are usually documents gaps or minor issues. They may lead to remarks or deficiencies, but ship is normally allowed to sail. Second, detainable non-compliance. So these are very serious issue. For example, no valid IHM certificate, IHM not matching the actual ship, no system to maintain IHM Part 1. So in such case, the ship may detained until corrective action is taken. The most important point for ship owner is this: detection rarely happens because of one small mistake. So it happens when there is no system to maintain IHM, so no maintenance and no clear responsibility. So this is why the slide also talks about clear ground for further inspections. So outdated IHM missing certificate or unmanaged changes on board, these are the trigger points for inspections. So the good news is ships with a clear IHM maintenance almost never reach this stage. Uh, when IHM is maintained continuously, PSC inspections remain short, calm, and predictable. And this is exactly why IHM maintenance is not just a compliance. So it is a risk control tool for ship owners. So now that we understand how PSC actually look at IHM, so let us move to what authorities considered an incompliant IHM means. Now, this slide explains something very important, what authorities actually mean by an incompliant IHM. So many people think an incompliant IHM means no IHM on board. But today the definition is much wider. An incompliant IHM can be an uncertified IHM, an IHM that does not reflect the actual ship, or an IHM that has not been maintained over time. So in practice, an outdated IHM is treated the same as no IHM at all. So this is very important point for ship owners to remember. Authorities have also strengthened enforcement at a local level. So you can see the examples here, France and the UK. So in the France, serious non-compliance can lead to fines of up to 100,000 euros or even imprisonment. So in the UK, penalties can include heavy fines and imprisonment of up to 2 years. So there are not or not future regulations. So these are already enforced today. So another important change is that responsibility no longer stops with the ship owners. Suppliers are now also being held accountability. Uh, if a material declaration or a supplier declaration of conformity or incorrect or incomplete or not provided at all, if late also, penalties can apply under chemical regulations like REACH. The key message is here clear. The key message is authorities are not targeting ship owners who are trying to compile. They are targeting situations where there is no control, no visibilities, and no maintenance system. Uh, so this is exactly why ongoing IHM maintenance is so important. It protects the ship owners, it shows control to inspectors, and it reduces legal and operational risk. So now let us move to asbestos, one of the most sensitive hazardous material on board. So asbestos and how it is managed practice on board. So let us see. Asbestos is one of the most sensitive hazardous materials covered under the IHM requirement. But it is very important to understand one key point. Having asbestos on board does not automatically mean non-compliance. The real concern for authorities is unknown, unmanaged, and undocumented asbestos. So regulations treat asbestos differently. So based on the age of the ship, and this is very important for ship owners to understand. For a ship built before 1st July 2011, asbestos is allowed to remain on board, provided there is no health risk and it is properly identified, managed under the asbestos management plan. So in this ship, there is no automatic requirement to remove asbestos within a fixed time. What authorities expect is control and monitoring. So now coming to ships built between 1st July 2002 and 1st January 2011. In this case, certain items like gaskets may still be allowed to remain on board if they are in good condition and managed under a risk-based maintenance and monitoring program. However, when planned repair or system replacement are carried out, those asbestos containing parts must be removed at the time itself. Now coming to the ship built on or after 1st July 2011, asbestos strictly prohibited without expectation. If asbestos is detected on this ship, it is treated as non-compliance, and removal is required within the permitted time frame, that is 3 years. with the proper monitoring until removal is completed. So there is a common misunderstanding that any asbestos found must be removed within 3 years. That is not correct. The requirement depends on when the ship was built and how the asbestos is managed. So from an inspection point of view, authorities expect three simple things. First, identification. So once the asbestos containing materials must be clearly identified and declared in the IHM part 1 with the correct location and correct conditions. So the second one is safe management on board. Asbestos is usually left in place and managed safely. Locations are to be marked. Crew are instructed not to disturb these materials. Any work near these areas is properly controlled. And third one is controlled removal when required. If asbestos needed to be removed, it must be done only by authorized and certified professionals. So inspectors are not expecting immediate removal. They are expecting awareness, control, and proper procedures. When asbestos is properly identified, documented, and managed, it is usually not a problem during PSC inspections. So this is again shows why IHM maintenance is more important, because asbestos information must remain accurate at the ship changes. So now let us move to PFOS, another hazardous materials receiving strong attention from the authorities today. Now let us talk about PFOS. PFOS is a hazardous chemical most commonly found in firefighting foam system on board. So in recent years, authorities have started paying very close attention to PFOS. The reason is simple. PFOS have a serious environmental and health impact. So, and many countries are moving towards strict control and elimination. From a ship owner's point of view, these are two very important things to understand. First, identification and declaration. If the firefighting foam on board contain PFOS, it must be properly identified and declared in the IHM part 1. So the IHM should be clearly show uh, what type of foam is used and where it is exactly located and whether PFOS is present or not. So these three things needs to be presented. Second, uncleared PFOS is treated as serious non-compliance. So during PSC inspections, officer may simply ask what type of firefighting foam used on board. So it can quickly, if the PFOS is present but not declared in the IHM, so it can quickly lead to deficiencies and in some cases follow-up inspections or restrictions. The good news is PFOS is not difficult to manage when there is a proper system in place uh, with a correct foam testing, proper documentation, and regular IHM update. So compliance becomes straightforward and predictable. This is especially important because firefighting foam is often replaced or changed during the ship life. So if these changes are not reflected in the IHM, this is where the problem start. This again clearly shows why ongoing IHM maintenance is critical. Now, not only for the asbestos, but also for materials like PFOS that receiving increasing attention from authorities. So with this, we have covered all the key topics outlined in the today's agenda. We looked at what IHM really is, how it is checked during port state control inspection, the regulatory and the legal impact, and how sensitive materials like asbestos and PFOS are managed in practice. I hope this session has given you a clear and practical understanding of what authorities expect and why ongoing IHM maintenance is so important. If you have any question related to IHM, asbestos, PFOS, or inspections, please feel free to post them in the chat or question and box. I will be happy to address that during the question and answer session. With that, I will hand it back to Pooja, who will take the sessions forward. Over to you, Pooja.
Yeah, thank you so much, Arvind, for your insights. Now, I would be happy to introduce our hazmat expert, that is Mr. Pushparaj. He has over 5 years of experience in taking care of the IHM, maintenance management for our ship owners. So his guidance would definitely help the ship owners and technical managers. Over to you, Mr. Pushparaj.
Yeah, thank you. Good day to everyone. Thanks for joining. So now I will explain how IHM maintenance actually works in the real ship operation. Not only based on the theory or not only for the audit purpose. We are ASMET experts. We have more than 5 years of experience in IHM port maintenance, providing the complete support to ship owners. So based on this, in this section, we will explore the practical aspect of regulation compliance, focusing on the competent persons and designated persons. The key task is maintaining the regulatory standards, how they work together, ensure the smooth operations. In these upcoming slides, we will provide you the detailed overview of designated person and competent person roles and how they interact with the ship owners and discuss the practical way of ship owners can manage this responsibility efficiently to ensure the compliance and prepare the PSC inspections. We are moving to the next slides. The process fully managed. The fully managed IHM process model means the ship owner doesn't have to chase for the update or worry about either the IHM document is up to date or not. We support the vessel continuously during the normal operations like maintenance activity, anything happen or any changes on board is happened. Whenever something is repaired or replaced or modified, even in the dry dock period or ship repair yard, it is reviewed from the IHM ASMET expert point of view. This objective is very clear and simple. To keep the IHM accurate and up to date and always ready for the inspection at all the times. This approach removes the last minute stress before the PSC inspections and give the ship owners confidence and compliance under the controls. Let me walk through the process step by step. We are moving to the next slide in more detail. How does it work? Now let me explain how does it work in a simple way in a step by step. Everything starts in a normal ship operations. The ship continuously purchases the spares and replace the equipment and carry out the repair and maintenance even in the dry dock period. Whenever this happens, the relevant information supposed to share with ASMET expert, or if it is not get shared from that ship, as a ASMET expert, we are the responsible to get the relevant information from the ship and ship owners. This can be, the information can be the purchase order or technical manuals or any supply documents or any document or any relevant document which is available on. Once this document is received, our ASMET expert, we review the document carefully. We check whether any hazardous materials are involved, whether any material declarations are required to get for the specific items. If something is missing or unclear, we follow up with the suppliers or relevant persons. The ship crew does not have to chase anyone. Once everything is technically verified, we update IHM correctly and keep the clear record of the changes. This way, the IHM is always reflects the actual condition of the ship. For the ship owners, this simply gives that the IHM is always ready for the inspections without a last minute stress or emergency for the update. Now, let us look at the role of the ship and competent persons on board. We are moving to the next slide. Yeah, the competent persons. Competent person who is present on board and designated person who is assured, who is the ASMET expert. Now let us clearly explain the role of the ship and competent person on board. Many ship owners worry the IHM maintenance will increase the workload for the crew. In fully managed model, this is not a case. The competent person on board acts only for the single point of coordination. The role is very simple. They inform us when any equipment is replaced with a new one or repair is carried out like dry dock or any new material or bought on the board. They do not need to analyze the hazardous material. They do not need to review the regulations. All the technical evaluations and compliance work is handled by our ASMET expert on shore, like designated person. This approach keeps the crew focused on the ship operation and avoid the confusion during the inspection. For the ship owners, this means a clear responsibility without any extra burden. Also, we are Varuna Sentinels. We also provide the computer-based training to the competent person. It's totally free of cost to support the ship owners and reduce the burden. Now we are moving to the next slide. Yeah. Yeah, this slide brings everything together and very clearly. Let me explain this very simple and practical way. How IHM maintenance works only when the roles are clearly defined. Let us start with the suppliers. The supplier role is to declare the what material inside the product they supply. They provide a document like supply declaration and material declaration. But in reality, these documents are often missing or delayed or incomplete. This is where Varuna Sentinels steps in. Our ASMET expert actively follow up with the suppliers. We request the missing documents and we review the purchase orders, and we can scan every items that suspect to contain hazardous material or potentially contain hazardous material. We do not simply accept the document. We also follow up with the suppliers and we request for the MSDS sheet that is relevant to the item they supplied, and we cross-verified both the MD and SDOC and the MSDS sheet, and we will simply check the documents and update in our portal. Now, coming to the ship owner. The ship owner responsibility is very simple and clear. Whenever there is a repair or conversion or any equipment is replaced or a paint or anti-fouling paint is recoated, they're supposed to share the purchase order details or any relevant information regarding that. That's it. They do not have to do any analysis, no regulation studies, no inspection pressure. Based on this information, our ASMET expert update the IHM accurately. We identify and locate and quantity of the hazardous material exactly as secured by the regulations. Once updated, the item is issued, maintained properly. Finally, the class. The class verifies the proper management system is in place or not. The ship owners can stay in control, but they do not carry the technical burden. The class will verify the task which is done by the Varuna Sentinels, and they will update the ship owners. So the ship owner stays in control, but they do not carry any extra technical burden. The burden is carried by us, the specialist ASMET expert. This is how IHM maintenance should work in real life. Now let us move to the next slide, see how this approach makes the inspection smoother. Now, let me show how all of this controlled and monitored in real life. This is where VSIMS, our digital support systems, comes in. VSIMS is that not just a software, it's a visibility and control platform for the ship owners and vessels. Let us start with the ship owners and owners dash. For one screen, the ship owner can see which vessel is IHM compliant, when the IHM was last updated, whether any actions are pending or required. If ship owner is carrying or handling more than 100 vessels, they can see all these 100 vessel details in a single dashboard. They do not need to chase any emails or ask multiple departments for the update. Everything is visible in a single and one place. Now coming to the vessel dashboard. This is designed in a very simple way for the crew to operate. All the vessel can see is they can see the purchase orders, they can view the report changes and track the IHM status. From the vessel lane, they do not need to give any update or they do not have to update the system. This is all handled by ASMET expert, admin, and from our side, the Varuna Sentinels. From the ship as well, from the crew members, they do not need any technical knowledge is secured on board to operate the systems. The one more question will come when the inspector will ask where exactly the hazardous material is located on the ship. With the VSIMS, the answer is very clear and visual. Each hazardous material flagged on the ship's specific deck plan. This means we do not just list the material in the table, we link that actual physical location on the port. For example, if the if the asbestos is present in the gasket, the system shows which deck the gasket is present exactly in a few clicks. The system fetch all the details by few clicks, and from the inspection point of view, it creates the traceability and evidence. From the ship owner point of view, this creates the transparency. And from the operational point of view, it removes the last minute stress before the PSC inspection. Then we are moving to the next slide. Yeah, this slide is very important, like supply declaration of conformity and material declaration management. During the PSC inspections, inspector often asks, can you show me the material declaration of this specific equipment? In many ships, this leads to searching the emails or checking the folders or calling the office on shore. With VSIMS software, it becomes very simple. Every hazardous material entry in the IHM is directly linked to material declaration document and supply declaration of conformity and related to the purchase orders. All of this available in a one click. There is no need to search or any confusion or no missing documents. From the ship owner point of view, this creates a complete traceability. From the inspector point of view, it shows the control and transparency. From the complaints point of view, this clearly demonstrates the IHM is properly maintained and not just prepared once and forgotten. This linkage is very important because it proves that every IHM is updated and supported and verified by the document. Now let's move to the next see and how this complete system is worked. Into the next slide. Yeah, in this slide we check more detail how Varuna Sentinel supports. This slide shows the separate declaration of conformity called SDOC along with the material declaration called MD. The documentations are foundation of the IHM. The supplier legally confirm what materials are present in the product they supply. This includes whether any hazardous material like asbestos, lead, PFOS, or mercury are present or not. Now, here is the practical challenge. On paper, the suppliers should always provide the correct and complete SDOC and MDs. But in real life, we often see the documents that are incomplete, it's not properly filled or outdated, not aligned with the regulations. In such a document accepted without any review by the aspect expert, the IHM may look compliant, but technically it is not. This is where IHM expertise becomes the critical. So the material declaration management. We review the MD and SDOC document line by line. We check regulatory reference and we verify the threshold values. If something is missing or unclear, we go back to the supplier and we request for the clarification or correction. This protects the ship owners because during the inspection, the authority do not blame the supplier first. They just ask the ship owner demonstrate the complaints. So in simple words, the proper management of SDOC and MD is what separates the paper IHM from the reliable inspection and ready for the IH. And this is exactly what we ensure as part of our fully managed IHM maintenance service. Now, I will hand over back to our moderator.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pushparaj. So now, sorry, I'll just share my slide again. Yeah, so basically, just to give you an idea about what is so different about Varuna Sentinels. So it is basically we have a good experienced IHM hazmat experts having over 6+ years of experience. We can provide you a very competitive price, flexible and efficient solution supported by the state-of-the-art software. We also provide the IHM pack for IHM. Apart from that, for the ship owners, the IHM is completely managed by our hazmat experts. You only send us the POs and entire scanning of the hazardous materials and everything is taken care by our team. Now, going further, I would request our panelists to please prepare for the Q&A. Ms. Simone, you can pick up question and answer. I kindly request you to pick up the question and answer and address it.
Yeah, thanks, Pooja. I was monitoring the questions throughout the presentations, and from the questions which are still open, it appears that most of the items are actually PFOS related, which of course makes sense. It is quite the newest regulation upcoming. So with regards to the questions, whether it's only whether it's for all extinguishers or only for fixed foam items, it clearly states that it is for each and every piece containing or fire extinguishing media. So that means it's also applicable for portable and whatever fire extinguishers can be managed. It's not only for fixed fire extinguishers. And the second question here is on what documents would be needed from the Liberian flag side when there's the PFOS containing media is removed on board. This is actually a bit, still not very detailed in the official regulations. It says that it needs to be delivered to an appropriate shore-based reception facility. So meaning you can't just deliver it to, well, any strange location somewhere. It needs to be an official reception facility. You will get a receipt when you delivered it there. And the receipt needs to be stored, and there needs to be an entry in the official logbook of the vessel. That would be sufficient to make sure that it is, or as a required to fulfill the requirement to have the PFOS medium removed from the vessel. So official receipt from the reception facility and an entry into the logbook, that is sufficient from our side. With regards to the buffer period for removal of the foam liquid, there is no official buffer period available. So 1st of January is the 1st of January. From that point on, everything needs to be removed. But there might be some cases where it can't be removed earlier. Delivery is delayed. There is just no stock available in a part of the world. So for the Liberian flag, we can issue a dispensation letter for that, giving a time period where you will be able to deliver the proper replacement on board, making sure that it arrives the vessel on time. But on the other hand, we are on the 25th of February already. So it was implemented on the 1st of January. We are talking about almost 2 months implementation time now. There might be some cases left where it hasn't been possible to remove it. But in most of the cases, to be honest, it should have been removed by now, because 2 months is sufficient. The regulation was upcoming and everybody should have known about that. So in this 2 months time period, it should have been removed already. But as I said, there are always exemptions. There are always cases why this could not have happened. And for the Liberian flag, we can discuss on how to solve that issue. We can issue a dispensation letter for that. But we will not issue a dispensation letter for an infinite time. So it will be quite a short time to make sure that it's really removed, as a regulation is in place already for 2 months now. But we can talk about everything in that regard. So my colleague panelists, do you have anything to add on that side?
Yeah, no, that's it. But there was another question. What about upon delivery of the ship? So the delivery is the starting point for all. So from then on, every changes on board must be tracked through proper IHM maintenance. So that's why we are telling IHM maintenance is so important. So that's the only question left. So that's also answered.
Yeah, thank you so much, panelist. I had one other question, that how frequently should the IHM Part 1 be reviewed and updated in relation to the new equipment purchases?
Yeah, IHM Part 1 should be reviewed every time new equipment or material is purchased and installed on board. So there is no fixed calendar rule like once a year or once in 5 years. The trigger is changes. So whenever there is a change on board, for example, like new equipment or a replacement of spare parts, like modifications, dry dock work, or changes in fire fighting foam, IHM Part 1 must be checked and updated if hazardous materials are involved. From an inspection point of view also, this is exactly what Port State Control expects. They are not asking when did you last update your IHM as per the schedule. So they are asking, does your IHM reflect the ship as it is today? The best practice is ship owners in this review IHM part 1 at every purchase or installation stage, and collect the material declaration, supply declaration of conformity, and update the IHM without delay. So this is how many ship owners prefer a fully managed IHM system. So no changes is missed, and the ship remains inspections ready at all time. So the short answer is update IHM on whenever the ship changes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Arvind. I also have a question for Mr. Pushparaj, that during renewal service, what are the class surveyors specifically checking regarding the IHM maintenance?
Yeah, or during the renewal survey for IHM maintenance. So once the initial IHM report is prepared after 5 years, as per the regulation like HKZ and USR, the renewal survey will happen. So during this time, the surveyor mostly check the initial IHM report and maintenance report, and all the MD and STOC collected from the IHM maintenance provider throughout the maintenance period. So they will verify all those MD and SDOC document, and they will verify the initial IHM report and current IHM report, and also they will verify on board all this all that maintenance report is currently matching with that onboarded equipment or not. So based on this, they will provide that renewal survey certificate.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Mr. Pushparaj, on your insightful response, and also thank you so much for all the panelists, for answering the questions. I'm pretty sure that the audience here have found value with your answers. Now, going further. So now we are almost towards the end of the webinar. So I would like each one of the panelists to please share their key takeaways, starting with Ms. Simon.
Yeah, thanks, Pooja. Yeah, from my point of view, the key takeaways with regards to the IHM is, at the current point, a lot of ship owners are on a good way, and they are having progress in being compliant with IHM. But on the other hand, as especially port state controls are getting more and more intense on that topic, we still see there is a lot of action to do from managers, ship owners' side, that they are not all up to date yet. And especially one item from my side, or let's say a pledge from my side, is really do it on time. Take care that you are on time, that you will not leave everything to the very last moment, because in that case, it will become complicated for all of us. So take your time, do it whenever you have some minutes to spare, check on it, make sure you are on top of things, that you are aware of everything, and then make sure that you contact the relevant persons soon enough so everybody will be able to do it correctly and on time, and to make sure that everybody is compliant at the right point and not doing it in the very last moment action. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Simon. Now, Mr. Arvind, you may please share your key takeaways for this webinar for our audience.
Okay. So my key takeaway for ship owners is very simple. A well-maintained IHM does not just pass inspections. It protects operations and reduce the risk and keep ship trading smoothly. So the end is that is the real value of IHM maintenance. So that's my key takeaway.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Arvind. Now I would request Mr. Pushparaj to share his key takeaways.
Yeah, from my perspective, the key takeaway in IHM maintenance process involves the regular update and check from the ship owners and managers and competent persons. The collaboration with the surveyors for the detailed declarations and supply declaration of conformity to update the IHM. The technology is in IHM maintenance are evolving, and also we are like IHM maintenance provider also evolving based on that updated regulation. So that's from perspective key takeaway.
Thank you so much. Thank you all the panelists for sharing your key takeaways. And now, as we wrap up this session, I would like to, give a big thank you to all our audience for their valuable time, who have been present here to attend the seminar. And in case of any queries or questions, please feel free to write to us at contact@varunasentinels.com. And also, you can check our website, that is www.varuna-sentinels.com. And also, very thanks to all the panelists. We had a really great, insightful session, and also all the audience. We look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. So, thank you very much.